All right, guys, quick update on the Nova build. I was in process of pulling the engine, getting the headers out the way until I realized that I had to actually remove the spark plugs. When removing the spark plugs, I noticed there was a ton of oil built up on the spark plugs themselves. I pulled them last night, but you can kind of see it here. This is what it looked like all over the threads. Here you go. Looking down inside like this area, and 100% my valve stem seals are leaking. I put a camera down inside the cylinder itself, and cylinder walls are super clean, but everything coming from up top is super oily as well. So there now, they do look original. I guess I didn't replace them. So that's the project for today. Get some valve stem seals on order, get these things switched out and taken care of. All right, guys, for a low price of like 20 bucks, got some premium valve seals. These are the intake ones, these are the exhaust. I'm assuming this valve is over the exhaust port, so this is gonna be exhaust and this is intake. Man, oh man, do they look good. Quick update since we're here. Got the vintage air kit in, super exciting. Starting to get this thing more disassembled. I replaced the valve stem seals here, which is not too bad of a job actually. I did try to test fit the AC bracket. I definitely want the low mount just in case I ever want to do a turbo in the future. So I have my lines marked on where I need to trim. I'm just gonna go straight down on both lines and that should be plenty. Then I'll put a little box end and that should be done. Really highly considering swapping over the aftermarket bracket for the Camaro and putting it in this one. They would kind of put it down lower, make it look nicer. I think it also has a new power steering pump, but obviously, as you guys know, I would like to paint this engine the same color as the car, paint everything else black, including the frame. They're really trying to talk me into doing a powder coating on this thing, which could be nice. I do have new suspension. I do have rack and pinion. There's a lot of things that we can do, but I'm excited for the future, man. I'm so excited. Yes. Check out these lines, man. A line looking straight as an arrow. So I literally just cut straight down, cut literally flat across. I held the grinder as flat as I could, went straight across. I don't even know if that's deep enough or what, but we're gonna try it out. And then on the backside, it's kind of difficult to get to, so I use this little angle grinder. Air pressure is getting low in the shop, but either way, almost there. All right, final update of the day. I officially have the AC compressor installed. I did have to notch the frame. Just started with some Sharpie lines and got everything marked up. All I gotta do now is box it in. The problem is I've got a little bit of play. The only reason it sits the way that it is now is because the AC compressor comes up and hits this bracket. So if I actually were to push this down, it obviously activates the tensioner a little bit more. But down there, it hits my bottom notch. And up here, it hits there. So I really think I gotta notch it like maybe another inch, possibly down to that hole. Maybe actually perfect. And then that'll give me all the space I need, just in case for whatever reason this needs to be tighter. But I really think that'll be just fine the way that it is. Yes. I was able to convince Brianna to help me out. She is cutting down the studs on the wheel spacers while I'm trying to see if I can swap out this U-joint to a 1310, which is Chevy, to a 1330, which is Ford U-joint, and see if I can actually fit it directly up to the Ford 8.8, because as of right now, we're using the same exact spots for the leaf spring purchase. Nothing's really changed. And after I get this figured out, if I can get this bolted up to that rear end, I can officially pull the engine out and start painting. So really, this is a key component, and I finally got the new U-joint. It's under there somewhere, but let's get this thing done. Also, would like to mention that Brianna did shorten up the studs on this side. You can tell that she was here because she's always got her little special touches. Okay, guys, final update of the day. All the accessories are off. This engine is ready to pull. We've got the lift plate on, all the wires off, motor mounts are off. I also created more clearance for the AC compressor. So the idea is whenever we get everything apart, I can actually weld in a plate here and clean up that area. There's plenty of wiggle room for that thing. We went ahead, before we pulled the engine, we need to make sure that the rear end was going to work with the drive shaft that we have. Everything has been installed now. Right now, the angle of the drive shaft is completely wrong. So I've got to make sure this goes up at least another, I think, 12 degrees. But the distance on the yoke itself is very slim. So I think the proper way to do this would be to shorten the rear end, but we're going to see what happens whenever it's actually angled properly. But otherwise, this is at right height. Technically, this is off the jack stand. The jack stand still moves. So with the center lines, these are 16-inch wheels. It does look pretty nice. I may want a little bit more sidewall in the future, but for the hot rod tour, that might just be good enough.
Mr. Ground.
All the wiring harness is out, pulled out and everything. I am taking off these studs. I'm gonna go from the inside, try to find these two bolts here to see if this whole AC box can pop out. It might be pretty close down, but for sure, that's gotta be something. This is gonna be the first step of install the vintage air kit, so these guys have gotta be folded the right way so I can go straight out. Have to cut this guy off for sure. Yeah. All right, I'll move it to the inside of the vehicle. We went ahead and started pulling out all the wire harness for the engine bay. One, because I don't like it being in the hole at the top side of the firewall. I'd much rather drill a hole down inside of the transmission tunnel area and feed the wires up so I can use the original grommet and all that stuff. Also, I need to make sure to take off the PCM. I had actually made my own brackets out of sheet metal to hold it into place. As you can see there, looks a little goofy, but it definitely doesn't rattle and it holds it nice and tight. Doesn't move at all. I'll definitely drop the PCM, take out the AC box, and then we're smooth sailing. Hopefully next to vintage air. Luckily with these older cars, they are extremely simple. So I had to pull off these two vents. I had to pull off the lower side floor vent for the driver's side. There's two 8mm bolts. This lower piece that sits right here in the middle, two 8mm bolts like that. And then this guy right here was kind of a bear to get to, but had two Phillips screws holding in the actual vents, and then two 8mm screws in the back there. It lets everything kind of fall out, and then that gives you full access to here. I got out a 10mm bolt on the top, 10mm bolt on the bottom, and then it looks like I have to undo these cables still to get access from the actual switch panel over here. But after that, the whole thing should drop out. I'm also getting kind of caught on these heater hoses or whatever this is over here. So, but besides that, everything's pushing out just fine. I don't think you understand how happy this makes me. Everything's torn apart. That's scary. We're not talking about that. This right here, it works good. I mean, it's got cables. Everything's fine. This one's broken off, so it makes that a problem. But look at what we got in the kit. And I'm telling you, this right here is insanely smooth. All right, everything's disassembled. First thing I have to do is kick panel modification. I already pulled off the kick panel from the passenger side. That's got like this recirculation door on there. They want me to cut this thing off flush, which kind of sucks because this is an OEM piece. They also gave me some 1/2-inch plastic plugs I'm supposed to plug the little pull thing with, but this thing doesn't have it. So I guess either take this off or I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. Okay everyone, so I flattened out the metal as requested. I also patched these two holes. It looks a little ugly, but the whole plan is to put Bondo on it anyway, so I'm not super worried about what it's gonna look like underneath the Bondo. I still have the plate for the AC, that whole delete panel. I've already marked out which holes I'm gonna be keeping, no matter what, but either way, this panel's gonna go on here, and we're gonna kind of Bondo over everything, make sure it looks nice and smooth, get rid of all these lines, because I'm not a fan of that. Get rid of these holes because I don't think we're going to use them for anything, and then we can continue on. But in the meantime, while the paint's drying, I can take things like wire brushes and honestly start getting this whole thing cleaned up. Nothing to it but to do it. I'll probably just do like a gloss black like rattle can thing on this thing, just in case anything were to ever happen. I can kind of just And I do have new suspension, so I don't have to worry about cleaning all that stuff up, but definitely top of the frame, things that you can see, the sides here, the fronts, the things that if you look into an engine bay, the things you notice, that's what's going to get cleaned right now. Super stoked that I was able to get Brianna to help me out with the Nova today. But in the meantime, we've got to patch up this hole. Like I said, I had to clearance it, cut out a big old corner of it so I could fit my low mount AC compressor. So now I've got some 1/8 inch steel that I am trying to fit up. Took it from this long sheet here, cut it down into a relatively good sized square. And now I've got this piece that's kind of fitted up. It's a little ugly, but check this out. Man, oh man. I'm gonna have a little bit of a gap there, but whenever I put this back plate on as well, y'all should fill in a lot of it, but overall, that thing fits pretty snug. And it's flat, which is great. I'm gonna weld it in now. Fit check. Can I get a fit check? Ooh, it's looking pretty good. Don't make fun of me. Not too bad. Man, oh man. Flux core for the win. I'm gonna clean out all that slag. Let's get this thing perfect. Okay, going down to the back wall. It's looking pretty vertical. It's lined up pretty good on the back side. That's sitting flat right here. So as long as I can hold this thing down and mark it, I'm good. Not bad. Fitment check. Ooh-wee. Right there is a close fit. All right, guys, here's the final look. I'm done grinding for the day, done welding. It is very, very smooth to the touch. And I know for a fact that it's gonna fit the AC compressor, which is all that matters. I might put a little coat of paint on there, even though it's not gonna be for long. Only problem is all my grinders and stuff, they're all circles. You know what I mean? So how do you get to the corner there?